Oh, yairime gurubhit purvam padavakya pramanataha vyakhyata sarva vedantah tan nityam pranatosmyaham. I salute all those teachers who expounded the Vedanta much before me for ages using traditional methods of teaching. Pranatosmi, I bow down before them. We have in this webinar 266 under the FOI forum this very popular work Ātmabodha for our consideration. Ātmabodha means knowledge, bodha of Atma, the self. Does it mean we don't know ourselves? Yes, it does mean that. The Vedanta's message day in and day out is our main problem is we don't know who we truly are. There is a fundamental error in our seeing, in our understanding, in our perception. We take what we are not to be ourselves. I believe there was a man who somehow mistook himself to be a mouse. So strongly, so intensely, and so fully that at the sight of a cat, he would run away. He was given a lot of treatment, and after months of treatment, months of training, he was asked, "Do you now feel confident that you are a man and not a mouse?" He said, "Yes, of course." And then they did a trial. They brought a cat near him. He ran again. Then they gave him much more training of the nature of putting the headphones on his ears and being told day and night, "Say, I am a man, I am not a mouse," etc. So this humorous story finally comes to an end when one day he himself said to the doctors, nurses, and everybody, "Please stop this treatment. I am 100% sure I am a man now." Then they said, "Very good, that is nice to hear, and that's very happy to hear. Let's put you to test." So they took him on a road, and a cat was brought on the road. And to their great happiness, the man stood straight and chest up, looked at the cat. The doctors, nurses, everybody was so happy. Wow, our treatment has worked. But after a minute, the man again shook and ran away. So they asked him, they caught him later and asked him, "What happened? For a full minute, you were really in high spirits. Why did you run again?" And he said, I know I am a man, therefore I stood courageously. But at the end of the minute, I had a doubt whether the cat knows I am a man or not. If the cat doesn't know I am a man, I am in trouble, right? So this would not have really happened, I suppose. But the story is very illustrative. Atmabodha, all of you have received the soft copy of this booklet. Vibha Chaitanya has sent to all those who are on our mailing list a small booklet of 68 verses, and this webinar is going to give you some glimpses of what Atmabodha teaches, what way it goes about the instruction. So it's an outline. We have started on 12th of April. We had one class on 12th, another on 19th April, and on 26th, which is going to be 5 days from now, This will be the third class. And in the third class, we will be taking up the fourth verse. We have made a beginning in detailed study of Ātmabodha. And most of you know, some new people may know that all you need to do is to go to YouTube for my channel. All right. This webinar is an outline. Every verse in detail is taken up on those Friday evening classes, 8 p.m. Friday IST, Indian Standard Time. So to begin with, let me tell you at the end of these 68 verses, the author, believed to be Adi Shankaracharya, or maybe some Shankaracharya later in one of the Sringeri or Puri, Dwarka, Joshimath or Kanchi, some Shankaracharya wrote this. And the last verse, namely the 68th, has something beautiful to say. It says, Digdeshakaladhyanapekshya sarvagam Shitadihrin nitya sukham niranjanam Yasvatmatirtham bhajate nishkriyaha Sasarvavit sarvagato mrito bhavet. Whoever studies this Atmabodha and then Swatma Tirtham bhajate. That's what I want to highlight. Tirtha, many places means a pond. Temples have a tirtha. Please don't mix this tirtha with the tirtha you drink when you go to a temple and the priest gives you tirtha and prasad. Swatma tirtha. According to this last shloka, the Vedanta is like a refreshing pond. Take a dip in that pond and come out so refreshed. Our stress, our anxieties, our worries, our guilt, our shame, something we might be hiding from everybody, that they should not know this about me. And equally, some pride, some conceit, all these high and low that we feel about ourselves are in the domain of the ego. In Vedantic understanding, we let go of ego, and therefore Shankaracharya calls study of Vedanta to be Swatma Tirtha. It's a refreshing waters of the pond of self-knowledge. Now, from the 68th or the last verse, I'll do a long jump. I was never a good athlete, at least in Vedanta teaching. Let me do a long jump from the 68th verse to the first verse. So, the first verse says, Vedanta can inspire you, that's very good, but really, to really imbibe Vedanta, you need to be ready mentally. Your mind and body, to the extent it affects the mind. Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev's statement came yesterday, and I agree with him. He says your happiness depends upon how you have maintained your mind, your body, your breath. So his exercises involve pranayama, some physical exercises. So we must know clearly, for spiritual accomplishments, we don't need athletic fitness. We don't even need total freedom from diseases, etc. There can be some disease, some ailment, or some issue, but we certainly need a cooperative body. Even with some back pain, suppose you are receptive to what is being said. Even with some indigestion, which is in its own place, suppose you are able to reflect on a Vedantic teaching without bothering much about some physical limitation, then that's good enough. We are not talking about being able to run or climb or get down and so on. That, as you know, won't be with us as we get older. So old people are not at all disqualified for Vedanta. On the contrary, The old people would be typically more qualified because they have seen the limitations of life, the pleasures, the possessions, relationships. All of them have sad limitations, and you and I, as we get older, whether we like it or not, we begin to learn and understand. All right. The first verse says, those who have prepared themselves by right living. The word used is tapobihi. Tapobhikshina papanam Ātmabodha vidhiyate. By living rightly. What is living rightly? Listen more to your conscience. Listen less to the urges of the indriyas. Your conscience says you have had enough rest, get up now. Your indriyas say, but it's so pleasant to stay in the bed. If your conscience says, oh dear, you have had enough rest. You remember last night you went early to bed, 9:30 itself. And it's 4:30, 7 hours, 7.5. Mathematics also. It gives, conscience says. But you say, I don't want to listen to all that. The bed is so comfortable. Then there is no discipline. There is no inner growth. Listen to your conscience. Meanwhile, study and educate the conscience. Never imagine your conscience is a constant. Conscience, the inner voice, is available for education. It is better informed as you do satsanga, as you study with no bias various schools of thought. So the first verse says, if you conduct certain austerities, if your conscience says fast once a week, fast once in a fortnight, Ekadashi and so on, for heaven's sake, do it. Conscience says do yoga every day, if not for 1 hour, 30 minutes, 18 minutes, 10 minutes. Suddenly, a friend of mine from Raleigh in North Carolina repeatedly was trying to reach me last year. I said, this former college mate is not much in touch with me. Why is he calling me again and again? Then finally, I picked up the call. I was able to pick up the call. All he had to say is, I thought he had some crisis and he needed my help. He said, Swamiji, I want to tell you, yoga is helping me so much. And you intellectuals who give big lectures sometimes neglect your body. As a friend and as a person who was in the same college 50 years ago, please permit me to give you a small advice. At least 10 minutes do yoga. I was surprised of all out of the blue. Why is this college junior advising me? But after I put the phone down, I tell you, I felt that God made him call from North Carolina out of the blue, not anybody who is regularly in touch with me. And there onward, I have been more regular than before, let me tell you. So, listen to the conscience. The tongue says, morning as you get up, have a cup of coffee. After half an hour, a cup of tea would also be nice. The tongue would say all these things. But the conscience says, preferably avoid coffee, or if you really want to have it, why not after yoga, some meditation, then, celebrate that you have done yoga this morning with a cup of coffee. So tapaha, somebody asked me other day, what is tapaha? The simplest definition of tapaha is a life lived more in alignment with conscience. Such people can benefit from Ātmabodha. I will be jumping to various shlokas, and in fact, this evening, a couple of hours ago, I sat with my copy of the little booklet. Which shloka shall I highlight? It was a task, I tell you. Every shloka seemed to be so beautiful. Every shloka was as though asking me, take me, talk me about me, talk about me. Every shloka was telling me. Then I said, there's just not time to talk on all these shlokas. So the fourth shloka is something which I quote in so many of my Vedanta lectures. The fourth shloka gives a very interesting metaphor. Mega apaye anshuman iva. Self-knowledge is something that is not really new. It doesn't get created. It is not brought forth from somewhere as though it wasn't there with you. You have self-knowledge. Then how come I don't experience it? You see, in the sky there is Anshuman, that is the sun. The sun is shining in the sky. If you are able to see dark clouds in the sky, you are able to see the clouds also because of the sunlight. If the sun were not to be in the sky, you wouldn't see anything. But the sun is not visible. Mega apaye anshuman iva. When clouds go away, the sun, who was all the time there, becomes visible. Like that, parichinnaha iva ajnanat, out of sheer ignorance, erroneous perception, a little problem with your seeing, asamyak darshana, we call it, wrong seeing. Because of wrong seeing, you think you are limited, you are this body, you are birth, you are going to die. Tannashe, when that ignorance is destroyed, which is the only job of Vedanta. Vedanta's only job, or you want to say primary job, is to eliminate a certain erroneous perception about who you are, about what this world is. You are in error, and to eliminate that error. Tannashe, tasya ajnanasya nashe, atma prakashate. Whatever you truly are becomes so evident, prakashate, just as the sun becomes evident when the clouds move away. This is a shloka from Ātmabodha. And in times of our blues, when we are depressed, when we feel low, to just read this. Read a couple of such verses. Wait, it may not immediately act on you, but within a little while you will begin to smile. Yeah, my sorrow, my self-judgment as I am good for nothing, my notion that I have made a fool of myself in the locality, all these are a play of the mind. One day the mind says I am on top of the world, another day my mind says I am good for nothing. Both are false. I am wonderful not because of a trophy I won or something wrong that happened at my hands. Good and bad are not. I am happy, I am full by my nature. There is something called caused happiness. You eat some ice cream, you are happy. Face brightens up. That is caused by the ice cream. Later I may scream with tooth pain. Whereas Vedanta talks about certain happiness and a certain sense of completeness, which is uncaused, which is natural. Examples galore come to us in Ātmabodha. In the very next verse, number 5, Shankaracharya says, in olden days there was a method to clean water where there is dust. They would put some seeds which were called Kathaka Renu. Renu is dust. Maybe Kathaka, the seeds are broken into smaller pieces and spread it over the upper surface of a tank of water. Within a few seconds, all those pieces of the Kathaka seed become a layer, a membrane, a filmy layer. And that slowly starts sinking, going down. It gathers all the dust, takes everything down, and clear drinking water becomes available. Giving this example, and I believe today alum does the same. There are so many techniques of filtering water, purifying water. Water purifying is an industry by itself. Atakarenu. Swami Chinmayananji was speaking on Ātmabodha in 1984, where I had joined very newly, just a few months back, I had joined the ashram in Bombay. Pujya Swami Chinmayananji in Saraswati Nilaya was sitting on the platform, and he normally did not talk. What do you mean? He either roared or he whispered. So that day he roared. He even mentioned the name of a philosopher. Let me not bring that man's name here. There is that philosopher who says reading Vedanta adds to your confusion. Don't read any book, don't read any scripture. There is this philosopher. Tell that 85-year-old fool, he said, or 85-year-old child. I'm sure that audio recording must be available, if not video. Tell that 85-year-old child that Vedanta is not going to add, but like Kathakarenu, those seeds which gather all the dust, take the dust away. It doesn't add to the dust. When somebody is sprinkling the seeds, the powder of the Kathakarenu, somebody who doesn't know what's going on may criticize. Oh, what are you doing? Already that water is so dusty, and you are putting some more dust onto it. But when you put so-called some more dust, this second dust gathers all the dust. You are left with good water. Like a thorn removing a thorn in your foot. A second thorn removes the first thorn. So sometimes some intellectuals simply find fault with all this. That's when your Shraddha gets disturbed. Listen to them, but don't get carried away by them. They may criticize, they may find fault, they may say, with reading all these Gita Upanishads, attending lectures by Swamis and other gurus, you have really got more confused, you are moved away from truth, and something they will say, that's their opinion. If you listen to them, you will move away from right thing. Yes, I do agree, having raised this point. You and I don't get transformed immediately after listening to some great Swamis. But we get a vision, we get a certain idea, then we find we have certain bad habits, certain vasanas, certain negative tendencies. Then we begin to work on them. If necessary, we do some physical exercise, pranayama, bhakti. We eliminate grosser kinds of negativities in us, then nothing else is needed. Come back to the same Vedanta. It opens our eyes to the truth. It is said here, Jnana Abhyasa, repeated study of the Vedanta, Jnana Abhyasa. It makes our mind nirmal. Ajnana kalusham jivam, Jnana Abhyasat, vinirmalam, kritva jnanam swayam nashyet, jalam kathakarenuvat. Having made jala pure, the kathakarenu also goes its way, doesn't remain in the water on above, which we want to drink. Like that, Vedanta, having done its job, withdraws from you. You don't have to withdraw from the books. The books will withdraw from you. When you have risen to a certain height, risen to certain maturity, you will yourself know, I don't need to read the books so much. Just a little bit of staying in touch is enough. Like this, Meghapaye Amshuman, Jalam Katakarenuvat, and many more examples will come our way. Let me take you to the 16th. Now, the illustration here is rice. How rice, as it is taken from the plants, has to be beaten, the outer husk has to be removed, the inner stuff which we human beings eat has to be separated. So outer husk to be removed, inner portion to be retained is a terrific example in the Vedanta. In the Vedanta, more than loving sentiments which are important in bhakti, In the Vedanta, most important quality is viveka. Viveka means separating. So 16th verse says, Vapustushadhi bhikkoshaihi yuktam yuktya avaghatataha atmanam antaram shuddham vivicyat tandulam yatha. Tandulam yatha is the illustration. The rest of the shloka is the theme proper. Illustration in Sanskrit is called drishtanta. What is illustrated is called darshtantika. So what is illustrated here is the process of discrimination you and I have to learn. We have to be skilled. Let me tell you, even after knowing many shlokas and mantras, maybe whole chapters by heart of Bhagavad Gita and so on, many a woman or man doesn't have viveka yet. Viveka is not how many shlokas you know, how many concepts you know. Viveka is living spirituality. If you ask me, what is it that can be called living adhyatma? Not talking, living. I would say viveka. Living by viveka. So here is rice. If somebody beats it up in some haphazard manner, everything will be gone. One has to beat in a certain measured way so that only the husk gets separated. Then with the winnowing basket, and there are so many methods, the husk is separated, the eatable portion, rice, is kept. Like that, you and I need to be more alert in daily life. We must not live a life of compromise. We tend to live a life of compromise. Oh, a little is okay. Once in a while, it's okay to do this or eat this or drink that, etc. This one of once in a while, etc., sometimes becomes twice a day. So be careful. In fact, our indulgence in sense pleasures, etc., has a direct relation to a reduction in viveka. In many other matters, judging who is a friend, who is a foe. In matters that are financial also, where I may invest, where I may not. Everywhere you need viveka to separate the false from the true. And the shloka here says, in the Vedantic language, you and I are so identified with the physical body, emotional body, manomaya kosha, energy body, pranamaya kosha, intellectual body, vijnanamaya kosha, and then anandamaya kosha, the bliss of utter silence and quietude which comes to us many times. All of them are not really we. We are not that. All of them together are the husk. We are the witnessing consciousness. Energy or no energy, health or no health, popular or unpopular, honored in public or jailed and called a criminal. All of that actually does not mean anything to the pure self. And therefore, just as they beat the rice and separate the husk from the inner content, you and I have to exercise viveka. The verbal form is used here, vivichyat. Vivichyat is, in simpler Sanskrit, vivekam kuryat. One must do viveka. Wow, what a clarion call. One verse of Ātmabodha picked up at random can give a new direction to our thinking, to our emotions. Try it out. Therefore, I have been advising sometimes my audiences. Don't say I have no time. It is like my friend from Raleigh called me and gave a loving, friendly advice. 10 minutes yoga, please do, and so on. I would say 10 minutes study the shlokas of Gita one day. alternate days. Another day, 10 days of the Upanishad mantra. Those which you relate to. Some Upanishad mantras may be Greek and Latin for you, complicated words. But there are many mantras. ईशा और केना कटा और मुंडक ऐतरेय तैतरेय प्रश्न मांडूक्य बृहदारण्यक छांदोग्य श्वेताश्वतर कैवल्य any Upanishad you take. A few mantras even a primary school student can appreciate. In the Ishavasya there is a mantra. A golden lid covers the face of truth. O Lord, remove that lid so that I may see truth. I may see you. This even a primary school child can visualize. Of course, you and I understand much more by that. Our bad habits, our likes and dislikes, they are the golden lid. So 10 minutes of even Ātmabodha, go on changing. It's all the same expressed in many ways. It can make a big difference. The way you face the day will change. Then we have, in fact, if you ask me, which shloka have you quoted the most from Ātmabodha? That is the shloka 19, where a beautiful illustration of our erroneously perceiving the moon to be running in the sky. Look, the moon is running. We may take our grandchild and say to the grandchild, see, Chanda Mama is running. Uncle Moon is running. How fast he goes. And the little child, yes, where is he going, the grandpa, grandma? The child may ask. The truth is, the moon is not running. The clouds in the sky are moving in the opposite direction, and there is an illusion created. Now, Ātmabodha takes this example to the height of Vedantic truth, that not about the movement of the moon, the sense of doership you and I have, the sense of enjoyership that you and I have. It's a thought, it's a memory, it's the result of an identification. I did that, causing pride. I did another thing, causing shame. Where did my Viveka go that day when I did that? I was so foolish. Don't we feel sometimes so depressed about something we did? Maybe 2 years ago, 20 years ago, or 40 years ago, doesn't matter. When I get memories, then that kartrutva, I did this in 2007. I did not do it, should have done, but did not do something in 2015, like this. Ātmabodha says in this verse 19, Dhavan iva yatha shashi. Shasha means a rabbit. On the surface of the moon, a rabbit seems to be sitting. A rabbit-like shape. Therefore, Shashaha asya asti iti shashi. Moon is called shashi. Shasha, moon has shashi, moon has shasha, therefore he is shashi. And Shiva has shashi on his head, so he is Shashi Shekhar. From Shasha you go to Shashi, then to Shashi Shekhar. And you may be a devotee of Shiva, so you may call yourself Shashi Shekhara Bhaktoham. 4 levels. Dhavan iva. Dhavan means running. In Punjab, it is a surname also. I don't know whether their great-grandfather ran so much that all of them took the name. There was a great scientist, I guess, in ISRO or something in India, Satish Dhawan. Dhawan is a surname. Why do I like this shloka so much? As much as I love Vedanta, I love Sanskrit language. And in this shloka, there is a beautiful illustration of a usage called Sati Saptami. Vyapruteshu indriyeshu atma vyapari iva avivekinam drishyate abhreshu dhavatsu dhavanniva yatha shashi. Vyapriteshu indriyeshu is one example of that grammatical structure, Sati Saptami. While indriyas are operating, not you, you are the witnessing consciousness. While indriyas, hands or feet, when they are active, you aviveki, because of your not having awakened enough discrimination. It's a discernment. Am I moving? Am I eating? Or the mouth is eating? Am I rising or hand is rising? One must ask. It has serious implications. You know, once I asked a Mahatma how to be free from guilt and shame. He said, "You are a Ramana Maharshi Bhakta?" I said, "Yes, I am." Ramana Maharshi told you, ask, "Who am I? Who am I?" Yes, I am doing that sometimes. That Mahatma said to me, "I will give you another mantra. Nan yar." In South Indian languages, Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, etc. Who are nan yar? That something like that. Who am I? This Mahatma said, instead of who am I, you ask, I am not that person. Nan Allah. Allah means no. Nan Allah. Go on repeating Nan Allah, instead of Nan Yar, Nan Yar. I said, what is this Nan Allah, Swami? That Swami said to me, next time a bitter memory comes to you, you are a Vedanta teacher, you are a Ramana Bhakta. It should be much easier for you, he said. Yes, explain. When a certain sorrow arises in you, how foolish I was. 1998 or 2002, this happened. Do one thing. Just say, in the light of the Vedanta that I have studied, that person who did that foolish thing, and another time they say that person who did a wonderful thing, most praiseworthy, Nan Allah, I am not that. That person is a mere memory now. Then who am I? Ramana says, find out who am I. I am the awareness in which something arose and subsided. And I was, I am, and I will be awareness. So this dismissal. Indriyas move. I did not move, but I felt I was moving. Same way, clouds moved. Dhavatsu abreshu. Again, it's a same Sati Saptami Prayoga. Abhra means cloud. Clouds move. Abhreshu dhavatsu. Shashi dhavan iva drishyate. The moon seems to be moving as though. If you ask me what is a very important word in Vedanta, I would say the word iva. Iva means as though. Suppose one of you here is 53-year-old. And I would say, you know what? 53 years ago, you were as though born. That is Vedanta. You were really not born. And the lady who is 53 says to me, Swamiji, yesterday an astrologer told me, I won't live beyond 60. At the age of 60, I will be passing away. I said to her, you know, if that astrology is true, then if that astrologer is true, when the body becomes 60, you will as though die. This as though, Sanskrit word for as though is iva. Tvam marishyasi iva. And 53 years ago, tvam jata iva. Add iva, the Vedantic truth comes out. So, Vedanta says millions of things seem to be happening. Don't use this for escapism. Do some shameless thing and then say, you know, Nanalla, I did not do anything. If you don't have deep understanding of it, if you have not done manana on it, if you have not deeply pondered, you can say those words, but it neither means anything to others nor means anything to yourself. You will suffer as much as otherwise. But when you have contemplated, when you have reflected, and when you have with all openness accepted yourself as you are, there are many things which are to be blamed happened with these hands. This personality did a lot of dirty things. And this personality also did a few good things. Yes, I am not going to run away from them. But Vedanta takes me to a certain height. Both my praiseworthy achievements and blameworthy errors all now are seen as thoughts, memories, conjectures, I being the pure awareness. I disown both my dark past and my glorious past. With Vedanta, please don't disown only your dark past. Somebody praises you, yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I did that. I was in great form those days, you know. Therefore, I did spectacular things. Thank you. Come, have some tea with me and so on. You are going on cloud nine. Another person comes and says, are you not the person who lost election without even getting the deposit back? The whole town was talking about what a big flop you are. Who told you? Whom are you talking to? Do you know that? And so on. Then, you know, you are disowning your dark past and owning very much proudly something glorious about you. No. You should disown the glorious past also for a good reason. Why? Why should I disown my glorious past? You know, by disowning the Vedantic way. By disowning your glorious past, you rise to the infinitely glorious Ātmabhava. The Atma, your Nobel Prize, your Oscar Award, your Grammy, your Padma Shri or Bharata Ratna, all of them put together is a drop in the bucket as compared with your realizing you are the birthless, deathless, worryless, regretless, guiltless, fearless, pure self. It is so higher. Therefore, disown. Disown gold if you are going to get, you know, what is that? Most precious, some precious stone in the crown of now King Charles, earlier Queen Elizabeth. Kohinoor. Thank you. Somebody here in front of me gave me answer. Kohinoor. You have, some of the 100 grams of gold. I'll give you Kohinoor. Give me the Kohinoor. I don't want to let go of gold. Would you say? Like that, this life, these personalities, plus and minus, are all peanuts before realizing the pure self. I must now, before winding up, I must tell you, Atmabodha is not just praising Atma and describing some concept so nicely. It gives us verses tailor-made for you and me for meditation. From verses 30 to 37, that means in 8 verses, of which Puja Swami Chinmayananji was very fond. He made students learn them by heart. He used to be, super excited while talking on this. The shloka says, after studying Vedanta, or as you keep studying, your meditation will deepen. How? You will get that skill, that extraordinary skill. After all, everywhere you need skill. Driving a car, you need skill. Swimming, you need skill. Without learning the skill of swimming, if you just jump into water, oh my God, terrible. So Vedanta, this Viveka, this being able to see the false and reject it, being able to identify the truth and retain it, needs skill. Nishidya Nikilopadhin, 30th says, as you grow in the Vedanta clarity, your clarity increases, you will be able to negate upadhi. Earlier you were so attached to the upadhi. identified with the body. Then 31 onwards. 31 is how we must negate the gross body. This body, and 31 is a general negation. Starting with the avidya and up to the gross body, know them all to be like bubbles rising in water. Don't give too much importance to them. Then 32 is directly about physical body. Dehanyatva name janma jara karshalayadayah shabdadi vishaye sango nirindriyataya nacha. Negate your being the body. You are not against the body. Poor thing, why should you hate it? The body does its job. Feed it. Take good care of the body. The message of the Vedanta is don't be attached to the body. Don't get so identified with the body. Some slight damage and you remain depressed for next 10 days. That some damage took place. Your expensive car gets a scratch on the surface. Of course, sad enough, such an expensive car. And within the 3 days of your buying, somebody came and scratched it on the side. But if you are depressed and you lose your good mood, your spouse comes and asks something, you don't even look at him or her. That's ridiculous, isn't it? In that way, negate the body means put it in its right place. Then negate the mind. Amanastva name dukkha ragadvesha bhayadayaha. This sorrow, this attachment, this hatred, this fear, they really don't belong to me. They are not integral part of me. But right now, I seem to be so identified with them. Let me be the witness. Let me watch them. Let go. And then there are shlokas like, then who am I then? If I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. What am I? Nirguno, nishkriyo, nityo, nirvikalpo, niranjanaha, nirvikaro, nirakaro, nitya muktosmi nirmalaha. There are apparently assertive shlokas. I'm calling apparently because finally the truth cannot be assertively put. You cannot define truth. You are the truth. You can only see the false and eliminate it. Whatever is the truth is experienced. You know you are with truth. You can eliminate hatred, fear, insecurity, etc. Then you know what love is. Love in your heart, you experience. When there was fear, you are not experiencing love. So fear and insecurity and anxiety and guilt, so many things, they rob you of what is in you, pure love. And pure love cannot be objectified. Though attempts are made, Hollywood, Bollywood, all of them thrive on depicting love, a love story, and box office hit. Some of the movies that did well in the 40s or the 60s are remade third time, remade fourth time. The same love story with new actors. That time, Dilip Kumar or somebody acted, and now some, Ajay Devgan or somebody acts, new actor. And the main thing is love. Real love can be known only in spirituality, not through entertaining movies. Now I must quote the last of the set of 7 or 8. Evam nirantara abhyastha. If such insights are nirantara, constantly, as much as possible practiced, then harati avidya vikshepan. Such meditation takes away all kinds of projections of spiritual ignorance. And there is a metaphor. Rogan iva rasayanam. Rasayanam is medicine. Just as medicine cures you of disease, this Vedantic contemplation can cure you of this bhavaroga, this notion that you are a miserable jiva, individual soul. I conclude this webinar by sharing a certain verse where Ātmabodha talks about the journey of a Vedanta student with the journey of Lord Sri Rama in the Ramayana. Just a few days ago, we had Ramanavami. Just a couple of months ago, Ram Lalla was installed in Ayodhya. And the air seems to be filled with Ram these days. So it's appropriate that we conclude this webinar, my presentation, with this shloka. Tirtva moharnavam hatva ragadveshadi rakshasan yogi shanti samayuktaha atma ramo vijayate virajate. Rama crossed the ocean to go to Lanka. The spiritual seeker crosses the ocean called moha. So many wrong notions, so many delusions, so many misplaced attractions, so many misplaced aversions, hatred. They are all moha. Cross the ocean of moha. Kill the demons called raga and dvesha. And then when Rama holds the hand of Sita, Rama is reunited with Sita. The spiritual seeker is reunited with Shanti. Yogi Shanti Samayukta. Therefore, the seeker is Rama yet to be uncovered or discovered. Rama who is yet to be awakened. There is a Rama in you and me. Through Vedanta sadhana, we will be able to get reunited with the natural true peace within us. Atma Ramo Virajate, says the 50th verse. Therefore, Ātmabodha is a treat to all Vedanta students with great practical significance. It can bring about great healing inside us. Don't let go of other things. If you have been into bhakti, into yoga, into some good things, let go of time waste things, There are a lot of things in which we want to waste time. Cut there, and involve more in Vedanta study. If you are doing some bhakti, don't cut it. If you are doing some yoga, pranayama, don't cut it. Do it. Then it will be such a blessing. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo Namah Paramarashibhyaha. Please feel free to ask some questions or make some comments. Let me open the chat box. Yes, there are some entries here. Oh, nice. Raise volume on your device, as we can hear Swamiji clearly. I hope that problem was sorted out. Oh, someone complained low voice. To that person, this Dr. Sonpal has said. And others also have said they heard well. Yeah. So it was not to me. Okay. Yes. Dr. Pai says, I just studied this grantha intensely to prepare for your talk. Oh, so nice. I need more Dr. Pais in the class. So come prepared. Good. I like this comparison to Tirtha. Also, this Tirtha is not bound by Deshakala. Yeah, that shloka says it. I didn't touch upon that. Yes. Deshakala. Now, after refreshing dip in Atma Tirtha, you are ready for Vyavahara to deal with the stress of life, recharged with Dvaita Bhava or Jiva. Exactly. To be anchored in Advaita doesn't prevent us from doing so many Vyavaharas. Yeah. Swami Dayananda used to say, after enlightenment, suppose earlier you were loving coffee, after enlightenment also you will love coffee. Suppose before Jnanodaya you were skilled in Hindustani music. Later on also you will sing, you will play, you will listen to some Hindustani music and say, wow, sang so well. So that like that, Vyavahara is possible. Thank you for making that additional comment. Dvaita Bhava, Jiva Bhava will not be literally erased, but they will play the second fiddle to the deepest understanding of Advaita Bhava. One more comment. Kathaka Renu is akin to introducing Brahmakara Vritti to settle I thoughts. Well said. Hold on to Brahmakara Vritti, it settles all other I thoughts. These vrittis settle or disappear, making water clear, only leaving the absolute knowledge of Atma, which is not thought-based knowledge. Yeah, we talk about intelligence beyond thought. That rises to the surface. Yeah. What's the difference between Neti Neti and Nanalla? No, Nanalla is just one variation of Neti Neti. Neti Neti is a broad umbrella under which, I am not this, I am not that. Dismissal of kartrutva, dismissal of bhoktrutva, dismissal of fear, dismissal. There are so many dismissals, all come under one umbrella of Neti Neti. Shankaracharya mentions later verse sadhana in Atmadaya. How is spirituality defined in Ātmabodha? Ātmabodha is a summary of Jnana Yoga. And Ātmabodha touches about Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Shravana, Manana, that is spirituality. Supportive of that, if somebody is not even able to do Shravana, then other sadhanas, Bhakti, Yoga, but that Ātmabodha doesn't mention. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana are mentioned. Okay. Right. So the text messages are over. Anyone wants to turn the mic? Yes, Subramaniam from Fort Worth.
I have a basic question. The expressions God, truth, the self, and sometimes the word loosely used, God is used, I hate God because he did such a thing to the, good guy like me, And then sometimes I read a statement, in the realm of suchness, there is neither self nor the other. Is the suchness, is the, truth? So I get confused some of this. Maybe you can clarify a thought, a basic question.
Yeah. So suchness is from Buddhist literature. Yeah. In fact, Buddha is called Tathagata. Tatha means such. So he attained a state which was such, or which was akin with the highest state. Tathagata Buddha. So suchness is not a word in Vedanta literature, but it comes very close. So when they say suchness is above self and not self, they are using the word self in the form of ego. So ego and no ego are dualities. Whereas Vedanta also says the pure self is not party to a duality. Pure self is not this against that. The pure self is all embracing as well as all detached from all. So in Bhagavad Gita itself, Sri Krishna at places says it is Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha, Brahmana Kritaha is said. But in the 13th chapter, I guess it's 13, he says, Na Sat Tat Na Asaduchyate. Na Sat Tan Na Asaduchyate after Sandhi. When you split it, Na Sat Na Asat. You say, what? All along we heard Satchidananda, and here it says it is not Sat also. There the word Sat has to be taken in a lower sense. What is expressed is Sat, what is not expressed is Asat. This is another definition for Sat and Asat. And the true Sat, the highest Sat, is not into either camp. Both expressed and unexpressed, known and unknown. All of them belong to the basic truth called Sat. Therefore, some language issues are here. Therefore, to be frank with you, I myself am fond of some general reading. I read many things. But many times I have seen that this general reading, because they brings language of another school of thought, often distracts you, often also creates a new confusion. So we must be very careful. Our general reading should be balanced with proper Shastra Adhyayana, Shastra, Vedanta Shastra, with the great acharyas commenting, gives a very solid, highly technically, perfect system. These general writers, especially these bestsellers of New York Times list and so on, you have to be a bit careful with them. They have vocabulary, they have some talent, and they may be good, well-meaning people, but they were nowhere near the rishis and so on. Their books come and go. Their books come like a wave, and you and I are likely to be caught in that wave. But Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, and all those, Vallabhacharya, etc., they are, they are eternal. In Hindi, they use a word for timeless. Kal Jayi. Kal Jayi. Jayi means they win over time. Time is subdued by them. So the suchness is a Buddhist expression, I think. Okay. Any other verbalized?
Swami, there is question on chat box.
Okay. Yeah, I'm able to see. Correct. Where did Gita or Upanishad mention about conscience? Conscience, let's say antardhvani or whatever inner voice. There is no, Gita doesn't. Gita or Upanishads haven't talked about it in that kind of language. But other day I gave a talk on Arjava. Arjava comes 3 or 4 times in Bhagavad Gita, being straightforward. That is acting as per conscience, going by the inner voice. Or Upanishads, Satyameva Jayate, and so on. Such expressions talking about Satya have all these meanings implied within. So if you are a man of Satya, then you are going by conscience. To try to fool our own conscience, to try to violate our own conscience, to do something other than what our conscience says, right away is asatya. Asatya is not just in talking to somebody, reporting rightly or reporting falsely. We violate our inner voice, then there is asatya. Therefore, I am not sure, but in Manusmriti and some Smritis, some expressions have come. I don't get the Sanskrit word now. In Manusmriti, it says, in order to do the right thing, first you should study the scriptures, Veda. Vedokilam dharma moolam, smriti shile cha tadvidam. And there's one shloka. And it says, when you don't get answer from Vedas or Smritis or conduct of great people, finally you go by what you deep inside feel is right. There is some word used there, Atmanastushti or something. That has been talked about. And foolish people go first for what they feel is right inside them, as though they are the wisest. I go by my gut feeling, they very proudly say. Sorry, going by your gut feeling, especially when you are inexperienced, you are young, and the urges in your indriyas are, with high momentum. You go by your gut feeling will be dangerous. So conscience, Atmanastushti, has been mentioned in the Smritis more explicitly. How is it related to buddhi or antakarana? Buddhi of antakarana. Yeah, conscience is an aspect, a component of buddhi. Buddhi decides the value of many things. If you are well exposed, your buddhi would know what is precious, what is cheap. Your buddhi would know both in physical and moral ways, lot of distinctions. Conscience is more in the context of what I must do, what my action should be. Conscience is the inner voice relating to right word, right action coming out from us. Buddhi is into thousands of things. Antakarana, buddhi are into thousands of things. If you have a lot of general knowledge, that is also buddhi. What is the capital of, let us say, some European country? Budapest, you say. It's like that. That is buddhi. Buddhi is a collection of so much of knowledge, so much of evaluation of things. Conscience is whether you should do a particular thing. A priest was pressurized by somebody to give poison to a king of Mysore, a Vadayar of Mysore in the long past. He was such a humble, God-fearing person. His conscience did not permit him. But they said, the Gundas said, if you don't do it, we will kill you next tomorrow. Be sure of it. So he even brought the tirtha, but his hand was shaking because his conscience was troubling him. Then the king asked him, why is your hand shaking? There's a story in a book called The Vadayars of Mysore. One of the foremost, one of the early members of the Vadayar family of Mysore Maharajas was given poison by that priest, but nothing happened to him. That's another side of the story. That priest's conscience, because should I give the tirtha? But if I don't give the tirtha with poison, no, they will kill me. I better give. Like that. His conscience said you should not. Lastly, what is the Sanskrit word for conscience? Yeah. So, antasakshi, antardhvani, and we have to find out our conscience. But in many places, 9 out of 10, you may even use the word satya satya vivekaha, hridistitaha satya satya vivekaha. The ability to distinguish true and false, which is inside you. Hridistitaha, add that expression. But a more concise and compact word, I may be able to find and share in another webinar.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Yes, yeah.
When we talk about this consciousness, and when people don't have the courage to act according to
consciousness is different. The light, conscience,
conscious. How do we
call it inner voice for a simple word? Where we compromise with our inner voice.
Yeah. How do we get the courage to be correct? Like in the story that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Likewise, in daily life, sometimes we come across.
So it rises in us by not merely memorizing shlokas or mantras, not merely pretending to be religious, going to temples for this or it rises by some good habits. I'll be talking about yoga, pranayama, and such things, morning walk. Good habits in the realm of even relationships. Suppose you promise somebody, do it. Otherwise, don't promise at all. Don't exaggerate something just to get some temporary benefits. We should not undermine something, because some petty benefits we get. So there is a lot of alert self-training. We have to train ourselves in right living and in actions, in words, in thoughts, in habits. If we go on noticing that I must improve myself and we do the necessary step, some energy builds in us. That energy gives us the courage to go by the conscience. So even to do these, let's say 10 things or 12 things, such as keeping promise, doing things well in time. I'm weak in that. I do things at the 11th hour. So even at the age of 67, I'm trying to work, Today, even by Ātmabodha, that little jottings I did, I would have done 5 minutes before the webinar. Then I said that is not good. So 2 hours before I did some jottings. A lot of improvement. So you and I have many, every one of us had some bad habits. The bad habits I have, X may not have. What bad habits X has, Y may not have. What bad habits a husband has, wife may not have. But she has her own, So we have to work on a lot of these undesirable things in speech, in food, in sleep, in transactions. So as there is a greater integrity, not out of following some list of do's and don'ts, but out of some understanding, then some inner energy rises. It will surprise you. You may think you don't have the courage, but in a testing moment, you don't know where that courage came. Talk, you will say, I won't do this. Do whatever you want, etc. You will be able to say to somebody. So you can't get it by hoping for it in the last moment. Live rightly, then you will have a certain force operating from within you.
Thank you.
All right, it's about 9:40 here, 9:42.
Yes, Swamiji.
One more?
Yeah,
Namaste, Swamiji.
message is in chat box.
It's in the chat box. Okay, I should scroll down then. Yeah, it is one more by AR. In the West, one way the conscience is referred to as the moral compass. I am fond of that. In fact, Stephen Covey, whom I met also in 97, in that book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks a lot about moral compass, and he also used one more expression, the true north. The true north. So the compass shows what is the true north direction. So true, correct. Thank you for saying that. Ravindra Murthy says, are not all these conscience, buddhi, ego ultimately reducible to vrittis, which are proceeding from self and none other than self? Oh yes. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, 15th chapter, Matta smritir jnanam apohanancha. Memory is possible thanks to the pure self. And right seeing, right perception is possible, jnanam. Apohanam, loss of memory. So all these are reducible to thoughts which proceed from the pure self. Therefore, the self itself is everything. But that is taking matters to a certain greater philosophical height. A lot of times, both the students and teachers in such programs are operating on a little lower level. Then the terminology is different. But yes, on a higher plane, it is all the pure self. And even the question that was asked, how to get the courage? The courage is got by staying more and more in the self. Atmana vindate viryam, says Kena Upanishad. Virya, strength comes from Atma. Vidya vindate amritam, and so on. So pure self is everything. If you ask Prahlada, where do you get all the strength? He says, Narayana. He would not say Brahma or Atma. Bhagavan Vishnu. His father asked, Prahlada's answer was, Vishnu is there to take care of me. Put me in a pit filled with snakes, throw me into fire, do anything. Vishnu is with me. So that is the bhakti's language. And at deeper level, there is no difference. Because Prahlada would not have used the word Vishnu as you and I might use. There's that boy with some divine samskaras. Moment the word Vishnu comes in his mind, it means so much for him. Just as those of us who are into mathematics, moment you say pi, it's not just a symbol. It's the ratio between circumference and the diameter. They know immediately. Pi is a symbol. So Vishnu is so much more in Prahlada's understanding. Therefore, I would again say, Prahlada saying Vishnu is everything, and Upanishad saying Brahma is everything. Brahma adasta, Brahma uparishta, Brahma dakshinataha, Brahma vamataha. Brahma is to the right, Brahma is to the left, Brahma is above, Brahma is below. One mantra from Chandogya says like that. Prahlada's language is Vishnu is above, Vishnu is below. Even in this pillar, there is Vishnu, he says. So there is a lot of oneness if you go to the deeper level. Right. All right. Om Namo Narayana. Hari Om.